In this video, we shall be dealing with list. What is list? List simply means a group of related and unrelated information grouped together. The web developer use list to do a group of set of related items. So that is that. In a nutshell, we have three types of list. We have another list, we have other list, and we also have description list. So I will explain all these, and how they are on our studio. So the first one we are going to deal with now is UL. UL simply means on other lists. On other lists. It's a tag. Once you are in your studio, just type UL to bring it out, and that is UL. Inside UL, we also have list. List, as you can see, this list in our list can write as many as possible inside UL. UL simply implies the house that determines how the list will look like. For instance, maybe I wrote a John. Maybe I wrote John here. I wrote John here. The second one here, maybe I wrote Sarah. And the third one, I wrote Razak. Razak here. So now these are the three things. This is the model that determines, just like I do say, the tag determines how the content, which are these, what the programmer wrote inside the studio, inside the tag, how they are going to be. This is the UI that has then it influences this list. So the content inside it will look like exactly what is here, and this is on another list. Now when I run it, you see the way it is there. This by default, these are should be. It will come out with a dotted a bullet, come out with dotted dotted point rather. So that is how it used to be. There is another list. The second one is other list, which we call OL. The same thing, you write LI here too. Let me choose LI maybe 3 also. And I write the same thing here too. Maybe let me write John. The second one is Sarah. And the third one is Razak. The same thing, just like the way I wrote it. And this, just like I said, as we all know, just put break. Remember, break is a BR simply means break. Break the line. Once I write it this way, it happens to this space, vertical space. Yeah. So when I run it now, it implies it. Now the difference between the two of them, you can see the one has a dotted point, while one shows number to number them. So the UL give a dotted point against your content, while OL give number against your content. This is UL for you, and OL, that's how it works. UL is list is very important while you are doing, in fact, in our advanced topic, CSS. It's very important because professionally we are going to use list, UL to be specific, to write our navigation bar. Professionally, UL is recommended to write our navigation bar. So that's how it looks like here. So the web developer will use whichever one they want to choose, because they have different ways of writing them. The way they will affect, once you choose them, how are they going to show on the browser will be determined by the tag you use. You can also influence the tag. You can influence the tag. What do I mean by that? You can change. This is by default. This is how they are going to show. Dotted one by default. Another list by default we show dotted points against the content you wrote. While by default, OL, which is another, which means other list, will show number by default. Anything wrote inside it will be numbered by default. But you can influence it. You can also influence it here by writing OL. Let me say type. When you write type this way, what this implying, you can see, is that no, I'm not using one again to number my list. What I want to change it. You can choose any of them here. You can choose it. Once you run it this way, you see that has changed. You can choose alphabet. You can choose any of them that capital alphabet. That implies that you are writing it in IBC capital 1. Or you can also choose small letter 2. Same thing also happens here too. You can influence it too. You can influence the UL too, which is this. Maybe you want to just write style, which is CSS, but you can also influence it inline. So you can say list type, list type type. List type type, we choose this, see we give you the same thing. List type, no, list type type. Let me choose list type type. All these now are the things that you can use to influence the default characteristics of another list. You can change it, can use any of them, can choose square. Once I choose square now and I run it, this dotted will change to square. You can see that it change. You can also change it to any of them, anything that you want. You can change it to circle. I change it to circle and I run it. You can see those are the things. But the last but not least is a. Let me quickly go back to our other list. You can also influence that too. It's not only A you can use. Maybe you want to increase. Maybe you don't want to start from 1, 2, 3. You want to write a number. You can start. You can define our starting point by writing star command, and you input it. That's why the fact that there are 3. You can start. Maybe you can start from 100. That you are saying that this is where you are starting. You are trying to change the default value. I want to write it now. The John will turn to 100, while Sarah will be 101, Razak will be 102. So let's run it and see. You can see exactly what I mean here. These are the things that you can use to influence. You can use to influence the list default value. You can use those attributes to change the list default value. I think this is where we are going to stop for on list. In our next tutorial, we shall continue on the last on this description list. It is the last one. Remember again, UL is the list that is not numbered. It only comes by default with dotted points, while the OL is a list that is numbered by default. Once you write it, it usually come with numbers. You can also influence it just like I did here. You can use start to influence OL. You can use list type to influence UL. You can also use a type to influence start. OL too. So these are the things. But remember, list is very important in website development. Whereby website developer use list professionally to make navigation bar. In our future video, we shall be doing that majorly in CSS. So that is how list is. And in our next tutorial, once again, we shall be dealing with description list. Thank you.